Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's David Knox coming to you live. This is our first Monday Administrator and Manager webinar, Monday, February 6th, 2017. Thanks so much for joining me. For those of you in Atlanta, I'm so sorry you did have a great game. I mean, I don't know that I've seen a better Super Bowl game. I hope you all enjoyed it. I've never seen a comeback like that. There's got to be some lessons in there for our agents. You know, never give up. Just keep digging in because you just ain't over till it's over. That's a classic case of that. So it was a good game. So to those of you in New England, congratulations to you. Today, our first Monday Administrator webinar. Let me first let you know that next one is Monday, March 6th, 2017. And Bill Scavone, one of the key management players in Weicker Real Estate Affiliates, will be presenting that day. We're going to talk about our February 2017 videos. I'm going to update you on the new app. Facebook group page we'll talk about it, and I'm very, very pleased to have a longtime great friend of mine, Rick DeLuca, join me today. He's agreed to present some of his best management tips, so you're going to be excited. That's probably why we have such a good sign-up today. So, first of all, I'd like to let you know that I've retained a marketing company, Kate Hendershot and Associates, to do research on our company, and we're going to take a look at marketing. We're going to take a look at what our current members need, just everything to do with the marketing half of our business. So some of you may have already received phone calls, but I also just want to let you know that you are welcome to contact Kate directly. I would certainly welcome your input. It is absolutely confidential, and she'll give to me obviously the summary of everybody's content. The benefit of you talking to her is that we're going to get that feedback and use it to make our site better and make it whatever improvements you think are important. So Kate Hendershot and Associates, her phone number is 612-991-1886, and it's kate.hendershot@gmail.com. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of that or whatever. But I told her that I'm going to give out your information. She said, that would be great. It would save me time. And I urge you to give her a call and see what what questions she might have for you. By the way, for those of you in the Denver area, I'm going to be speaking at a business expo, and it's not often I can announce an event where I'm speaking because almost everything I do is a private event. But for anybody in the Denver area, I'm going to be speaking. I think Eagle Mortgage is sponsoring this, and it looks like a great day. And if you go to that web address up there, www.expo.com. I'll be in Denver March 2nd. My speaking slot is from 11 a.m. till noon. Also, I'm going to be speaking at the Nebraska Convention, so Monica's on board. So anybody in Nebraska, I'm going to be at the 100th convention. I believe that's April 11th. So hope to see all you guys there. We always get the question, how do we engage our agents? And I know it's the absolute ongoing challenge. And by the way, one of the things that I've had Kate focus on is getting agents to watch. How do I get agents to watch? How do we get agents to watch? How do we engage agents? It will be, my dying challenge. And as I say continually, I will do whatever I can. And just a reminder, the best way to use our videos is to show in meetings. There's some really quick ones in there, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 6 minutes, 12 minutes. And I just truly believe that if an agent can see a video just once a week, it'll help them grow. Now, if you can encourage your agents to watch a video a day, start their day off with a little quick tip or something, that's a great way to go. Using our action plans, accountability plans, the people who are using those are getting tremendous response from them. And I can tell, too, because, my gosh, I go log into the site, and when I see this long list of views, it's usually somebody on an accountability plan. Every video has a little button called broadcast link to email link to the video. So if there's a video in there you'd like everybody in your company to see, do a broadcast email, paste in the hyperlink, and just say, hey, go see this video, go to the 2-minute mark. It's really cool. We've talked about the Facebook page and forwarding the email. So this is the email we sent out this month was a long scroll all the way down because we had a lot of videos going up today. And I guess this might be a time to talk about that. Our What's New for February always introduces what's coming up. KFT 105, Lead Management and Follow-Up with Paul Tharp. We do his third in a series, and he gets not only into follow-up, but he takes us through his whole listing presentation, the process he talks about, his presentation, his commission, pricing, and how he closes on the sellers. Ambrose Bierke, by the way, if you think she sounds like she's coming from the movie Fargo, hey, that's because she used to live in Fargo, so she's the beautiful Fargo accent. So she finishes up with the online view of it. Ben Cash talks about how a physical disability totally plagued him for years and years and got in his way, and all of a sudden he made the switch, and it just doesn't bother him anymore. And that the physical disability may not apply to everybody, but the concept of what is it that we let hold us back, I think it's a beautiful quick tip. And as we mentioned, the lady that we interviewed that went from $200,000 in debt and divorced with 6 kids and no money, and then did $1 million last year. Her name is Venus Morris Griffin, and we introduced her in Quick Tip 40. So if you want to get a real quick meeting of Venus, you may do that. In fact, speaking of Venus, I'm going to play for you some B-roll. Now remember, video is 30 frames a second. Webinars are 15, so this might look like video from my rack, but I just, here's a 1-minute introduction to Venus on our Coming Soon. Morris Griffin, she is the focus of one of our more powerful features coming soon. We spent 3 days with her in Augusta, Georgia, where she shared her incredible story.
Here I am, a stay-at-home mom, 6 children with 0 income, didn't know how I was going to do it. My divorce attorney told me that I needed to, quit this real estate thing, and I needed to get a real job. I told him I was doing that, but I said before, it's not my nature, not my personality, just throw the towel in, so I'm going to do my best first to see what I can do with this real estate thing.
In the coming weeks, we will share her journey from that painful start to achieving a prosperous business, a dedicated support team, a happy family, a healthy fitness regimen, and top agent status, and $1 million in gross commission income last year. I promise you that it will be not only compelling video, but give you the confidence and methods to take your business to the next level. I hope that video came through for you guys, but I will tell you, it's one of the most fun video shoots we've been on. And boy, you talk about the proverbial rags to riches story. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. And I want to make the point that, yes, the beginning of the story is going to be kind of the rags to riches, but then we're going to focus on her skills and her techniques and watch her on listings. So we're going to be uploading that video probably for quite some time. So I also, just minutes before I started this webinar, I got an email from our programmer responding to a request from Rich in Houston, who wanted a different kind of detailed CSV report on accountability plans. And I just want you to know that it was just completed. So when you go into the Enroll Agents section and click up here, download detailed CSV report, you'll get an Excel spreadsheet that is sorted by name, and then you can see all the videos and dates and things like that. Frankly, I've not looked at it in detail because it was just seconds ago that I did this. So for those of you who want more detail on the CSV report, be sure to check that out. I've kind of taken you through the February videos, so we hope you tune in and watch those. And in KFT 103, as I mentioned, Paul takes you all the way through his listing process. Amber takes you through the branding as it relates to social media and websites. And we talked about Ben and Venus. So, and I showed you this. So I'm going to take a pause here. I'm going to take you to the site for just a second. Remind you of our Facebook page. We just a few minutes ago posted our What's New video on the Facebook page. I posted in here on the videos. We showed a picture of me with Venus right after the interview. And you know what? I am so pleased it is working. We're getting tremendous engagement with our Facebook group page. So it's, my gosh, I'm very, very pleased to see that. So keep telling your agents, keep telling them to sign up. And let's see where the latest link is. The link should be in the news section. We've got to put it up. We should put it up here in the description too, Rob. Let's put that up for people. But if you go to news and announcements, here it is. Join our Facebook page. But we'll make that link a little bit more prominent. We'll perhaps move that up. Okay, back to the presentation. We have been working on our mobile app update, and one of the things that was missing from it, obviously because the app was created before, but that was our accountability plans. So these are some screenshots from the new app that's going to the Apple Store for approval, I don't know, probably in a few days here. We're just checking out all the bugs and tweaks to see what we can do. But if you look way down on the bottom, you'll see the button that says Action Plans, because remember, this is the agent view. And the first thing you'll see is the title of the action plan, and this is my sample plan to get listings with the paragraph. And then when they click on that, they will see the sections. So again, I'm showing you the navigation. So let me back up. Click on Action Plans. see the action plan and its description. Next screen takes you to all the collapsed headers. So the agent's going to begin at the beginning, get in listing mindset. So we click on the heading, and then it shows the three subsets of videos, tasks, and actions, giving them the chance to pick where they want to go. If they click on videos, they will see the list of videos. And we've come up with a convention for identifying which videos are watched, and it's pretty simple. It's the word watched and a red line. I would be interested in your feedback if there's another way to do this. I was thinking of doing just a red line, but if you begin that way, people may not get the idea. In the future, that red line would probably demonstrate progress, showing 20, 30, 40% completed. Then if you click, so I'll go back here. So then if they click on tasks, they will go to this page. And when they tap on the task, they will get a pop-up window just like you do online, showing a place to write comments, and then a checkbox goes into it. And if they click on actions, they will get a page. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see the blank field with the word add. I don't think that's prominent enough, so I've instructed our programmer to make it some kind of bold color, dark gray, red, bold the word add, so you can add it. And then you can see the task that I, just testing the ability, and it works. The functionality is beautiful. It updates right away. So I believe that, again, our goal is to help your agents engage and use it, because we know it doesn't take much to pay for our service once they get a listing or two. So this will let you know. Obviously, as soon as it's approved in the Apple Store, we'll let you know. You can upgrade it, and then they can take the accountability plans into the field. So now it is time. You've all been waiting for this. It's Rick DeLuca. I don't know how many of you know Rick. He and I go back, I don't know, years and years. We were CRS instructors together. This goes back in the time when it was Beeson, Barrett, Brent, and Knox, Delbane, Zaby, and Rick DeLuca. And Rick was known for starting an old company and taking it, or purchasing a company and taking it all the way up. He's been in business since '76. He did 200 sales a year. And I've talked to so many people who have been in Rick's seminars. I say, my gosh, the guy just gives so much content. That's what they really like about him. So when he purchased his company, grew from 40 to 193 agents. He's been an NAR speaker forever and ever on how to become a dynamic speaker. He was the national president of the Certified Residential Specialist, the CRS Council. And by the way, while I'm changing presenter view, Rick, you will be pleased to know that I had a nice chat with Delbane yesterday, because I call him on the 39th anniversary of our first time together. Sorry, I'm trying to get to you. So Rick, I'm going to try to make you presenter. There you go. You can take presenter view. So Rick, are you there? Are you with me?
I am here, David. Nice to be here.
Thanks a lot for doing this. Who would have thought years ago we might be sharing a webinar together? But so to all my real estate training by DavidKnox.com members, here is Rick DeLuca. It is to you, Rick.
All right, David. Thank you. Very nice to be here and join you guys today here for a few minutes. David asked me if I'd just spend a few minutes talking about some of the management skills, and looking back at my own career and having the benefit of traveling around the world, doing a number of programs and speaking with lots of managers, owners, and brokers. Some of the mistakes we make and some of the things we do well. So, we titled this the Key Management Skills for 2017. I do find it interesting that as much as our industry has changed over the 41 years I've been in it, the people management side, I'm not sure it's changed at all. If it has, maybe a little bit. The profile of the agent's certainly different than it was years ago, but management is management. So here's what I'd like to start with today, if I can. And that is, the manager's job description. And why would I start with something that basic? Well, because in my background, when I became a manager, I was 1 year in the business in Reno, Nevada, and Bill Myers of Myers Realty said, "You're the manager." And I went over to the branch office and had about 10 agents. And I was younger than all of them, less experienced than all of them. And, my welcome to management was they all quit. So, it was a kind of an eye-opener for me, and got thrown into the fire and did a lot of things wrong, kind of stumbled around for a while. But I wrote down on a piece of paper, probably, 3, 4, or 5 months into my management career, I wrote down on a little piece of paper what I felt the job description was for me as a manager. And I was a selling manager a good part of my career. And that piece of paper went under my desk blotter. And it sat there for my entire real estate career. Today, that piece of paper is in my scrapbook. You see, I truly believe that our job description is nothing more than this: to create and then maintain an atmosphere conducive to high production. If you look at those few words, an atmosphere conducive to high production, well, obviously lots of things have to go into that equation to create that atmosphere and then maintain it. You've got to be a good recruiter. You got to have new blood. You got to run great meetings. You got to be good at solving conflict amongst agents. You got to be fairly systematic and organized. And I mean, there's lots of traits that go into it. But in a nutshell, I felt that if I could create an atmosphere that was conducive to high production, then we're on the road to success. Because one of the things I've discovered in my 4 decades is this: if an agent is making money, then they don't have many problems. They don't have many headaches for management if they're successful. And so my focus became on how do I get my folks successful to cut down on the problems that we have internally and their own personal problems. And money seems to take care of a lot of things. It's not the answer for everything, and I'm sure most of you agree with that, but it solves a lot of issues and makes for a nice, harmonious real estate company. I will also add this, as far as this definition goes. I think the single biggest drawback to an atmosphere of productivity is having non-productive agents. Non-productive agents. There's nothing more devastating to a culture of a real estate office, in my opinion, than having people sitting there that are not pulling their weight. I think some people, because of their lack of production, are more visible than the big producers. And you may accept that, you may not, but in my career, it was probably one of the top 10 things that I focused on, and that was making sure that the atmosphere was conducive to high productivity by eliminating people that were not serious about the business and people that were not at least above average when it came to productivity. So that's kind of what kind of set the tone for my management style. And I'm going to jump right into the recruiting plan. Now, everything I have is in black and white. I am by nature highly disorganized. So I have systems for everything. And so this is just one page in a multi-page recruiting plan. But if you just look at number 3, where I have the red arrow, it says, educate your agents to the benefits of becoming larger. And then it goes on, create a list of all the co-op agents. I'll talk about that for a second. And at the risk of people reading what's on the screen, I hope you listen to what I'm about to say. Number 3, educate your agents to the benefits of becoming larger. One of the mistakes that I made in my career, and I've seen other companies make it, is that we, the owners or management team, we just assume that everyone sees the benefits of us getting larger, for those of us that do want to get larger, by the way, and we just march out there and try to recruit people. But what I discovered was that unless you have the majority of your people in the same boat with you, you're not going to go anywhere. And so I have an entire meeting that I have laid out that I call the growth meeting, where we discuss the pros and cons of getting bigger, because there are downsides from an agent perspective of getting larger. And so that's one of the critical steps before you even begin your campaign. A lot of us are by that, and I recognize that. Number 4, create a list of all the co-op agents who have closed transactions with the company in the past 2 years. And I did that the first time I did it. I printed up the paper, I gave it out to all the agents, and I had my agents rate the agent that they had done a co-op deal with, and who they'd like to see here. Who of the list of people in the last couple of years you've done transactions with, who do you think would be an asset to our company? And that became my initial hit list. And then, of course, it says right on there, letter C, send a handwritten note to those agents your team would like to see here. Whether it's a note, whether it's, you pick up the phone and call them, whatever fits your style. But I just found it kind of a nice way to contact agents initially by saying that we did a kind of a survey of agents for the last couple of years we've done deals with, and you surface as one that our agents have a lot of respect for. And with that in mind, I thought I'd give you a ring and just tell you, you made the list, number 1, and number 2, thanks for doing a great job. We look forward to doing more transactions with you. Now, when it comes to recruiting, again, I have a whole list of recruiting ideas, but for sake of time today, I'm going to give you one more. But it's the primary method of recruiting that I utilized in my career, and I've helped a lot of other companies implement the same system. And that is every time, it's in keeping with what we just talked about, every time one of my agents had a co-op transaction with another company, part of the closing process, so there's a checklist like I'm sure you have, that's required for our agent to fill out, whether they're on the listing side or they're on the buying side. the last item they check has to do with the co-op agent. And we rate the co-op agent as whether they're a keeper or a loser. And some people think that's a bit harsh, but come up with your own language if you think so. But they're either a keeper or a loser. All the agents that we did deals with that my agents rated as a keeper came across my desk. I don't really care to see who the losers are. I want to know who the keepers are. And then I have a system of activities that take place when I see those people. The first one is the phone call. It's nothing more than a phone call from me to them telling them, hey, this is Rick DeLuca, you know, the owner of Myers Realty, and I want to give you a quick call. I understand we closed a transaction with you recently with one of our agents, and we rate the agents that we do transactions with, and whatever it's worth to you, my agent rated you as someone doing a great job. And I just wanted to call you personally and thank you because there's a lot of incompetent people in our industry, and you deserve thanks. I hope we have the opportunity to do many more transactions together in the future. And then I also made sure I said this. I'm proud of my agents, and I'm sure your broker is proud of you too. I'm sure you hear that all the time. And I just kind of let that sit for 3 or 4 seconds because I think most of us who've been around for a while would recognize that, sadly, most agents do not hear those words from their local management team. They seldom if ever hear those words. And so I want to make sure in that first phone call I have with people, I'll frame it this way. Listen, I just want to thank you for doing a great job with us. As I said, hope we can do more transactions in the future. I'm proud of my agents. I hope they did a great job on our side of the transaction. I'm sure your broker's proud of you too. I'm sure you hear that all the time. And again, I'll let that sit there for a second or two. And then I'm going to go off to my next part of the message because I want them to hear those words. One, that I'm proud of my agents. And two, I want to plant the seed. If they're not hearing similar words from their management team, then it should bother them. And if that opens the door for recruiting, then so be it. I've never been one to just blatantly go out and recruit somebody because I wanted them because they were a big hitter. I think recruiting is relationships. It's no different than how we teach lead generation for our agents. I also think the success in recruiting is being in the right place at the right time. And some of you listening do quite a few transactions. Some of them are much smaller as far as the production that your office does. Wherever you are categorically, you should develop the habit. If you're a huge company and you do multi-transactions and it's not practical for you to call every single person that's rated a keeper, if you follow the system, at least call some of them. Get on the phone and call some, maybe shoot them a text message if that's your style. I like making a phone call. I send a handwritten note immediately after the phone conversation. I also do something a little bit different, and that is I tell them that I'd like to email them today, e-campaigns. In my era, I had to print it and mail it. But I told them I do something every month. I send out a piece of information to my agents, something I run across as far as maybe an article and that I read online or a magazine, some statistic that I found that I felt was pretty important, and I share that with my team. Because you've been rated a keeper, if you'd like to, I'd be happy to include you on that same list of distribution. And the reason I'm doing it, I tell them right up front, and listen to this two-part statement. I tell them there's 2 reasons I'm doing this. Number one, I sincerely appreciate you doing a great job in the transaction, and I hope that by sharing some of this information with you, that you'll have more production, and once again, we'll increase the likelihood that we'll do more transactions together. And the second reason I'm doing it is this. I want you to see the kind of information I provide to my agents, the kinds of tools we provide, in hopes that someday, if things change and you decide to make a change where you're currently working, I would hope that I'd be someone that you would seriously consider. And so I get that right out there. I don't ask them, depends how the conversation goes. Do I ask them to go for a cup of coffee? Sometimes I do, but more often not, I didn't. It was simply planting the seed that if you ever make a change, I hope I'd be someone that you would consider. You see, with that in mind, my favorite question I use my entire career with other real estate people from other companies, whether it's at a realtor function and we're having a conversation or during one of these phone conversations that I've just described, my favorite question is this. If you were to ever leave your company, what would be the reason? I want to find out if there's some reason that something's annoying them. I've asked that question so many hundreds of times, I can tell you that frequently the answer would be this. Geez, I can't even imagine leaving my company. I love where I'm working. And when I heard that, I said this, good for you. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. I hope my agents feel the same way, because there's a lot of people in this business that are not happy where they're working, and I'm glad to hear you're working. If that ever changed, I'd hope I'd be a company you consider talking to. And almost always the response is very positive. Oh, yeah, absolutely, but I don't see me ever change it. Hey, good for you. But there's also the other percentage of people, when they answer that question, it's, well, you know, I don't know, I'm pretty happy where I am. I guess if I was going to leave, what would be the reason? Well, here's this one thing that really bothers me. And when they said the one thing that bothers them, that opens the door for conversation, as you can imagine. I may walk through that door, I may not. They may mention something that really bothers them about their current company. And my attitude was, if it bothered them where they're working now, it really bothered on my company. And so I don't even walk through that door. But it was a great opportunity to, again, to take the conversation to the next level. So just a couple of quick little recruiting tips. And again, I've got a complete recruiting system that I follow to the letter that helped me grow from those 34 to 193 people. And common sense dictates most of it. I just want to touch on a couple of things that are really basic because they were critical in the hiring process. It's what I call the first contact. Now, I have 2 pages of my system. Again, I'm by nature disorganized, so I have a system for interviewing. And I'm not going to go through the list, but I want to pull out 3 or 4 things. You see the first thing on the list that says up there, the receptionist knows the name and the appointment time. So if I've got David Knox coming in at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, then I make sure Tina knows that to look for David Knox at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Her job is to recognize him before he walks in. When someone walks in she doesn't know around 2 o'clock, her job is to say, are you David Knox? And the objective is for her to know who that person is before they introduce themselves. We made kind of a game out of it. And so there's, drop down to the 4th bullet point, which says provide the interview manual. I don't really have time to go into the interview manual. The contents is fairly extensive. Just picture in your mind kind of a real nice vinyl notebook, with maybe a 2 or 3 inch spine. And it's got plastic page protectors, and inside there is a letter from me thanking them for interviewing, how proud I'm of my agents. I've got the history of the company. I've got several pages of articles from newspapers and online things and magazines recognizing the company and also our agents. I've got pages of company events, training sessions, picnics, and award ceremonies to humanize the company. I've got the different kinds of recognition we have of the agents. And then I have our entire training schedule in there as well. I've got our commission split. And then the 4th one from the top of that page, most common asked questions and answers. I've got 2 pages of the most common asked questions that people ask in an interview with the questions. The way it works is that people come in, Tina gives them a brief application to fill out. She then gives them the interview manual. They look through it. It properly produced interview manual will answer at least 80% of their questions before they ever come in. And so when they come into my office for the interview, I didn't have to go through a bunch of things about the company because those questions had been answered. I was able to get right to the things that I wanted to. And let me at this juncture give you my favorite question in interviewing people. Who's going to make it, who's not going to make it in this business? There's no surefire way. Some of us use psychological profiles. There's a variety of methods. I'm going to tell you that the largest factor on whether I chose to have an agent work for me was based on the answer to this one question. The question is this. Excuse me, my mouth went dry there for a second. The question is this. Can you share with me some of your past successes? I'm just kind of curious on what would you consider some of your past successes in life? If I've got someone sitting there, and let's say here, not to be sexist, but let's say I've got a woman sitting across from me, and she says to me, well, geez, I've been out of the workforce for about a dozen years raising my kids, so I haven't really been in the employment field, but I love looking at houses and I love people. I'm not terribly impressed. The interview may go on or it may not go on much longer. Let's say I've got a different woman sitting there, same scenario. And she says to me, my past success is, well, I've been out of the workforce for a dozen years raising my kids. So my past success, my kids. Let me tell you why. My past success, that pool down there at the YMCA, I was on the fund driving committee to get that thing put in the ground. Let me tell you what I'm involved in the Rotary Club. She's almost hired at that point right there. What I've discovered in my career and not everyone's going to agree with me, but what I've discovered is this. For the most part, the people who become successful in real estate are the people that were successful prior to their real estate career. It may have nothing to do with the business world. And so, that's part of the system, at least in my selection process, and perhaps there's something of benefit there. Now, let me go to a different topic here as we kind of go towards the home stretch on this call. I did a conference call with someone, David, here a couple of years ago, and he gave me a list of questions for a 45-minute interview. And at the very end, he said, I've got one more question for you. And I said, what's that? He said, and you're at that point 35 years around the business, what is the most important thing you've ever learned? No one had ever asked me that. I'd never asked myself that question. I didn't even hesitate with my answer. I said, the number one thing I've learned in real estate is this. The higher the self-confidence of an agent goes, the higher their production goes with it. And so as a young manager, I stumbled onto that, that reality, and my focus, not total, but my focus became anything I can do to build an agent's self-confidence will make them money. Anything I can do. Before this phone call, Dave was talking about the videos and the ongoing challenge of how to get our agents watching these training videos, because David leads the industry in the quality of video training and has for years. And let me give you one little idea I used in my own career, and that's this: build in some level of accountability. Have an agent watch a video, and then next week at the sales meeting, have 2 or 3 of them, ask them to give about a 3-minute report of the one best idea that came from that video. Not only do you raise to the conscious level for that one agent something they actually learned, but what you may likely do is increase the intrigue amongst the other agents. Wow, that was a good idea. What video was that came from? And you foster the use of the training material. So build your self-confidence. With that in mind, here's just a real quick overview of the first week of my 4-week training program. And I want you to look at Monday morning, 9 to 11:30. We have an orientation. I have a checklist for that, which I'm sure you all do. And then we immediately get into how they're going to make money. We talk about their database, and we show them NAR statistics that 52% of buyers and 60% of listings come from people we know. We emphasize that for over an hour of the training, and then right there, Monday morning, their first day in real estate, we tell them to go out and meet 5 people. Meet 5 people. Now, here's the real world. You see, they'll be reluctant to go out there and strike up conversation with people unless they know what to say. And so on Monday morning, their first day in real estate, I give them this. These are statistics you must know by 5 o'clock this afternoon. By rote memory, I have them see how many listings are in the market today compared to last year. What is the average list price of market time compared to the same time last year? The list price sales price ratio, as you can see right out of the MLS, is where this data comes from. The year-to-date solds and the average sales price compared to the year before, and then the overall appreciation or depreciation in the marketplace. So just a handful of statistics. This is what I've discovered. If my agents knew a handful of stats, even their first day in real estate, they have a tendency to begin to use them in dialogue with consumers. And so when they get that most frequent question from consumers, geez, what's the market like? What's going on? What are interest rates doing? They don't have to speak in generalities. They can speak in specificity. They can say, well, last year, as a matter of fact, there were this many homes sold. Today, this many homes sold. If no other benefit, it gives them instant credibility. Now, I felt so strongly about this one area that not only did I ask my agents to know these statistics they did in the first day. And by the way, I gave them a pop quiz. We made it kind of fun, gave them little prizes. Accountability. I think in looking back on my own career, one of the reasons we had such high production was that we layered into our agents' training some degrees of accountability, which goes against the grain in this industry. But not only did I feel strongly about this information, I also assigned my new agent a neighborhood, not to farm, but I assigned them a neighborhood, a subdivision, a tract for 1 week to research. And I gave them 4 different neighborhoods in a 4-week period of time, and it's what I call the market study. And so you can see on the form that there's their name and the date and which office they're in, and then the subdivision I assigned them. And then they have to determine over the next 7 days, how many homes are in that subdivision, what's the age, is there new construction going on, who the builders are, where predominant home styles, range of square footage, recreational opportunities available in the school districts. Then based on 6 months of computer printout right from the computer data from MLS, for the last 6 months, what is the average sales price, average market time, how many homes are for sale today, who the top 3 listing to agents are for that community, and their overall impression of the entire subdivision. So let me ask you this question. Because we gave them a handful of stats the first day, and then we assigned them 4 different neighborhoods to research in a 4-week period of time, would you agree with me that at the end of 4 weeks, they probably knew more statistically about the marketplace than most agents know after 4 months, some of them 4 years, you say? And I think the answer is yes. And so if you go back to that training in the first week, you look over there on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. You see, their 3rd day into business, we asked them, how many leads have you generated? We think people should be out there getting leads their first week in real estate. On Thursday, you can see it says right there, do a market study on the form provided on blank subdivision, see the manager turn in on Monday. And so we have them do a market study every single week. So that's the heart of the training, have some accountability built into it, and raise your self-confidence. The mantra in my company, if you called anyone who worked for me all those years ago and asked them what was Rick's mantra, I guarantee you they would know it. They probably got sick and tired of hearing it. They heard this from me every day, multiple times a day within my offices, and that's this: focus on activities, not results. Focus on activities, not results. I think all of us have been around long enough to recognize results is nothing more than a byproduct of daily, weekly, monthly activities, and that was our focus. And then finally, the last message I have for you, not everybody agrees with this, and I understand that, but I learned this the hard way, and that is 12 months versus 12 weeks of planning. You see, what I learned the hard way is that most people in real estate, I think most people in general, but most people in our business have great difficulty planning 12 months into the future. Is it good to have annual projections and income and production? No, absolutely. But it comes from the activities. I was a big subscriber to 12 weeks, not 12 months. You see, I think people can see 90 days into the future. And so we planned 12 weeks. We got together agents. We did as a group every 12 weeks. We did another plan. What are you going to do for the next 12 weeks? It gave us the opportunity to kind of tweak things, modify some things, add things that should have been in there, things that never should have been in there to begin with. And so a 3-month calendar is hugely important for us. And then lastly, I also made sure that when they did these calendars for the next 12 weeks, the first thing they need to enter into their calendar are the personal days. Personal days, the wedding anniversaries, their children's birthdays, field trips, with their kids. Those got to go in first so they can plan their work around those things versus the other way around. And also believe in deadlines. I believe in deadlines. I got one last tip for you. One last tip. When you're sitting down with your agents, you've never done this before, and here it is January, it's a great time of the year to do it. Ask them to ask themselves 3 questions. Look back at last year, 2016, and ask yourself these 3 questions. What am I going to keep doing? The first word is keep. What am I going to keep doing this year that I did last year? The second was, what am I going to stop doing? What are the things I did that had little results, wasted my time? What am I going to stop doing? And the third one, what are you going to start doing? What is it you're going to start doing? You've heard it over and over and over again. You've watched David's training videos. You've been to seminars. You've got all this information. When are you going to start doing some of these things? So keep, start, stop. That's a practice that we developed when we did our 12-week planning process. It worked incredibly well, and hopefully it'll work well for you as well. So with that, the question I have for you is, what's the one idea you'll use? So in this brief phone call that I've had with you, I hope that there's one thing that you can use. And David, if I could help anyone out there in your audience, I'm happy to do so. It's my pleasure to be on the program with you today, and I thank you for what you've done for all these years in our industry.
Oh man, Rick, thank you very much. You have lived up to your reputation of pouring on really, really good content. And while I maybe do a quick summary, I'm going to open it up for those of you who would like to post some questions for Rick. I'm going to watch. By the way, Ernie Pinkert is on the line. He says, I still have his reference book in our library. It's an RE Bible. So he has that. So we've got good comments there. And, you know, as I listened to you, Rick, some of the things that I just wanted to cheer out loud, but I kept my mic muted for you. And one is the most devastating thing with this industry is non-productive agents. For 40 years, I've been praying this industry would fire the bottom half, and somehow we got to get a group together to just go out and tell everybody, will you please, please, please just fire these unproductive agents. They're destroying it. And I love the idea of rating co-op agents and writing personal notes. I was waiting to see. And you said note or call. You did not say email, note or call. I think that's so important. And for those of you who heard Jackie Leavenworth and Carla Cross and some of the others talk about behavioral event questions, where instead of asking what would you do, you ask the question, you know, what have you done? So Rick's question, can you share with me your past successes? It forces people to actually talk behavior. And you know what? I've been in the business a long time, Rick, and I was in a seminar the other day. People were afraid to call their customers and clients, and it came down to fear and dialogue. And the dialogue I focused on was questions, and it just how brilliant it is to part of your dialogue would be to know the stats in the area. It's got to make them feel good. So I'm going to steal that from you, and I'll add it to my seminar. I'll give you credit. But I just thought that was a wonderful presentation. So I'm going to pause and just see if anybody has any other questions in here. Rick, that was really great. That was some wonderful content. So you guys, if you want to type in anything, well then, type in your thanks to Rick so I can share that with him. Here comes some stuff. Excellent presentation from Ernie again. Hey Rick, that was great.
Thank you, David.
When was the last time you did that presentation?
Oh, what I just talked about?
Yeah.
You know, I only do, as you know, I'm kind of in my final phase here of speaking. This may be my last year, and I only do 1 or 2 programs a month. And management ones, David, I don't think I've done a management one since probably sometime last fall, maybe.
Yep, okay. We just got another thank you. Dan Lopez says thanks. Monica Sable says thanks. Shelby says really great information. I put your contact information up there. If somebody called you for a seminar, would you do it?
Yeah, I'd certainly consider. I say I do a couple of months now, but happy to help out. And by the way, if they just have questions, you know, or if they, maybe I can send them a copy of something they'd like to see, I'm happy to do that. And anything I can do to help this industry after all these years has been great for me, so it's the least I can do. Happy to help that way.
Good. Connie Hines says thank you. Paul Wells says Rick rocks in all caps. Tracy Harvard says excellent exclamation mark 3 times 3. Thank you so much. We'll listen again when posted. Paul Wells says, thank him for me. Paul, I just did that. Paul again said, can we get his presentation? We post the recording of this, you guys, so the answer is yes. But I assume Paul might be asking for the PowerPoint. I don't know if you're okay with that. You could email. Well, I've already got it. Is it okay to share it?
Yeah, absolutely. Share with everybody.
Yeah, we put it in the support materials so our members can get it. I'm just going to stall a couple more minutes to see if anybody else has any questions. Not seeing any, I'll let you go. But Rick, I sure appreciate you doing this for me. And I think the last time I heard you speak, I don't know, years ago, I can't remember where it was, but you continue to give really good, rock solid content that people can use. And I think that's what's made you stand the test of time these years. So pleasure knowing you. You've been a great friend. I get another final. Let's see, final. Jim Armstrong says, excellent information. Can't wait to see the recording and make more notes. So you are certainly a hit today. And when the recording goes up, I'm sure we'll get a lot more feedback. So Rick, thank you very much. And for all of you tuning in, I sure thank you for being members of Real Estate Training by DavidKnox.com. And remember to go in and sign up on the group page. And remember, if you go into the manager resources, we have a lot of things for you. Remember to Skype me in. And I think that covers everything I've got. So thanks, everybody. And Rick, thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you again.